So here's the situation on the Taurus. We had some really cold weather the other day, and I pulled the car in the garage and there was antifreeze on the ground right here. That's water, but the puddle was much bigger. When I take a look at inside here, way down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of wet right in here. So I think the radiator's leaking. I checked the hoses. It doesn't look like it's coming from the hoses. So I think what happened was the really cold temperatures we had caused the end cap seals to go or something. So we're going to try replacing the radiator today. This is not the first time I've done this. This is actually, I went back and checked my records. I've pulled the radiator out on this 4 years ago. So it was an aftermarket radiator that failed. So I have the new one. Let's take a look at it. So I picked up this Denso radiator here from Rock Auto. There it is. Yep. So let's open this up and see, make sure it's the correct model and everything before we start tearing everything apart. This appears to be the correct one. I've got 2 ports on this side, 1 port on this side, and then the drain over here. It mounts on these pins. Denso 42406. Going by memory, last time I did this, we have to take this off here, all these screws. It's probably best to pull all this off here. I think the hoses and stuff can stay in place if I recall. We'll have to separate out the fan shroud, but this whole front fascia comes off if I recall. I don't remember if the headlights have to come out or not, but we'll look at that. I think they do, but I don't remember the details. So let's get started by probably jacking the car up. I think I left the tires on last time, and you can just take these screws here off. So I think let's do that. I took out the 4 larger screws, and then these 2 snap-in ones. Let's leave all these Phillips head screws in. I think this is attached, you can see it here, to the front fascia, so I don't think we need to worry about that. Next, we'll get this air filter out of the way. I think it'll free up a bit more space so we can work. Take this, just loosen this screw here up, and that'll allow us to undo the clips here. Let's see here. Probably should disconnect the sensor here. Just got a little red clip on it that you pull out and then push down. So pull the red clip out and then push right here, and that'll come off. This out. There we go. There's the air filter. Take that out. If I remember, I think this whole box can come off with these 2 screws here, I think. So let's give that a try. figured it out. So these two screws come off, and then it's in there. It's actually pinned in, so you got to kind of like pull that way and pull up firmly. It's got these two locating knobs on them that fit down in these two holes here, so it pops right out. I think the next thing we'll do is we'll pull these wheel liner screws off. That'll separate the front fascia from the wheel liners. So it'd probably be easier if we took the wheels off, but we're just gonna get her done here. Oops. And there's one screw back here that's a bit bigger, so we'll take that one out also. I forgot, we want to disconnect these, so you pull the wheel well back here, and there's a connector just behind. Push down right there. Oops, you can't really see it. And then it'll come right off. We'll do that on both sides. Now, this car's been in an accident before and been repainted several times, but this paint's all chewed up. Doesn't bother me any. But back in here, right there, there's a clip. You got to get that out of there first. Okay, so we'll work on getting that out. Once you get this plastic thing out, it goes right in here. It's a giant pain in the ass to get out. Cut the head off and get a new one. I believe that this whole thing, if you get behind it, it should pop straight out like that. So you want to pull it straight out. We'll do that on the other side. I think, if I remember, lift this up here halfway. Pull the whole front end off. I guess if you're worried about the paint, you know, that's kind of a hard process to do. Taking that off, you could easily chip the paint, but I would tape the corners up, tape up this edge right here. You know, make sure that there's, you know, you got tape in there. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, this car's been in, it was hit with a giant hunk of ice at one point. They had to repaint the entire front end. It's also, I think at one point, before me, it was sideswiped on this side here, and they had the front fascia off anyway, and the paint's all chipped on the corners. I'm not worried about it. It's got 180,000 miles on it. No big deal for me. But if you're concerned about that, tape everything up. These, I think, just pull off, I think. Just kind of like clip down. Pull off. Not a big deal. Yeah, so I looked at this a little bit more. The radiator is attached to the air conditioning. There's a bolt here and a bolt right there. I think I'm trying to remember if there was one on the bottom side. I don't believe there was. But this whole plastic structure here, it holds the headlights, and it comes all the way down and around. I don't remember taking that out. I think maybe I loosened it here to try to pull it forward to get the radiator out, but the radiator doesn't go out this way. It's got to go out the back side. So I think for simplicity's sake, let's take the headlights off just so they're out of the way. I think that's a pretty easy process. This screw here, this screw here, I think they come right out, and there might be one right here too. So three screws, they come right out, I believe. So let's see how that goes. too. Just leave those hang down for now. Okay, well that gives us access. There's 2 screws here to hold this in place. We might need to take those out. The thought occurred to me. Since we're potentially working in and around where the airbag sensor probably is, let's disconnect the battery. Probably should have done that right off the bat. Just to make sure we don't accidentally trigger the airbags. So we'll disconnect the battery here and move forward. But I do have the screws out here for these guys at this point, so they're ready to come out. And you can kind of see they go through into the back there, right here. And now that we have those top clips out, right, you can see the whole thing is moving. So let's get these screws that are back in there off. That separates the air conditioning from the radiator. So I took all the bolts off here, and that really frees this thing up, which I think gives us more room. So I think it's time to drain the antifreeze out, get the hoses disconnected. I think that's going to be our next step moving forward here. I think to get to that lower radiator hose, you want to disconnect all this harness here. There was 2 screws, one on this side, one on the other side, to hold the fan shroud on. And I think my next move is to get this connector for the fan control off, which I don't remember how it's supposed to come off, but I'll work at it and try to get that off. I think it's... So yeah, I got it off. There's a push button right here. You can barely see it, and you push on it and pull it that way. This whole fan shroud then picks up, and see if we can get this out of here then. That gives us access then the lower clamp and the lower clamp on this side. So maybe that was not a good idea. Let's maybe plug that one back in and see about getting these lower hose clamps off. So there's these clips right here that connect the radiator to the air conditioner. So you kind of have to, it's kind of weird. You have to, if you pull up, say it won't go, you kind of have to pick up on the AC. Bear with me. And get those to pop out while pushing down. So get those on the other side, and then you can pull the radiator out. So we got the radiator out. I don't know how much I want to show putting it back in, but you essentially reverse the whole process, so it's not that complicated. Now that if you can get it out, that's step one. Putting it back in, just gotta be careful, don't damage the fins on it, and just kind of reverse that whole process to put it back together. I don't know, say about an hour and a half to get that out, so it wasn't terrible. What's important is to know where those little clips are and stuff to get the front fascia off, and then all the little screws you got to take out. So pretty straightforward process. Once I get it back in, then I'll show how to fill it up with antifreeze. Make sure it's good to go. Make sure you put the right kind of antifreeze in. So okay, so we got it mostly back together. I haven't put the front fascia on quite yet, but I left this top hose off. Everything else is connected. The fan shroud is back on, and so I was gonna put the antifreeze in, and what you want to do is leave this off here. That way you can fill up the radiator and make sure that it's full. This car, and you got to be really careful with this. I'll provide a link. Ford's got a list of what type of engine coolant to use. This one takes what's called specialty green. And what you want to look on the back of this here is you're looking for this number right here. So this, and it varies based upon model year also. So this particular is a 2010. It uses a WSS M9 8. Is that an 8? No, that's a B. A B55-A. You can also look at this number here, but this is the particular antifreeze that goes in this car. You don't want to mix them or put something else different in it. You could have some issues if you do that. I also diluted this already, so this is already a 50% water, 50% antifreeze mix. That's all covered here on this table. How much you should mix accordingly. Okay, so we'll continue this process until it starts to come out. Oh, there it is already. We'll put the hose on. There we go, so it doesn't leak. Just like that, and that way we know the radiator's full. Okay, I got the hose on, got her tightened down. You can't see it here. Let me come in, but you can see the fill lines here. What we'll do now is I'll continue to fill it up until we're at this fill line, and then we'll start the car up. We'll leave the lid off and continue to add it until it stabilizes. So that wasn't too bad. Got it all back together. Filled the reservoir up to between the lines. Now what I'll do is I'll take and drive the car around and just keep an eye on it in case there's like an air bubble in the radiator. So if that level comes down, I'll also make sure it's not leaking. I don't think there's going to be any problems, but it's always best to make sure you do not want to drive it without antifreeze. You'll completely ruin the engine. So just keep an eye on it, for a week or so, just to make sure everything's okay. Make sure the levels are up to snuff, and you should be good to go. So other than that, it was pretty straightforward. Just a matter of getting the front fascia off and taking a bunch of screws out. So yeah, good luck to you.